Welcome to Decentral Lens, where lifelong friends Blutoshi and Disco navigate the ever-evolving crypto landscape. With genuine curiosity and a commitment to nuance as our North Star, we offer clear-eyed exploration. Our goal? To empower listeners with the tools and insights needed to flourish in this decentralized age.
All right, what up, everybody? Welcome to our first episode of The Lens. So for you X folks, you just get to watch everything and watch us weave everything in and out. But for YouTube subscribers, we're going to do a show. And for our podcast subscribers, we're going to do like a 15 to 30-minute show. And we're just going to give you the crypto, macro, Bitcoin, ordinals, runes, Ethereum, Solana, just news of the week.
Yeah. Not necessarily a digest, but similar to that. We're just going to try to do it. So we need to manage against our own desire and comfort with going a bit longer. So we'll try to work this stuff a little quicker. So anyone who watched earlier is going to get kind of an interesting thing to see how we have to transpose into this vibe. But I'm here for it, and let's do it.
Yeah, so let's jump into the first story. Yeah. So I guess the big one is you got to talk about after both Congress and Senate vote to throw Gensler's SAB 121 out the window, that made it where the banks had to hold crypto as a liability and not an asset. It screws them up as being custodians at all. You know, obviously we crypto private key holders are not normally aligned with the banks, but right now, we kind of are. And both Congress passed it. They can work together across the aisle. I think it was around 65, 66%. And then Biden comes in after a week before. He tells us how friendly he is to crypto, how he wants to talk to all of us because he's seeing Trump kick his ass in the polls. He said he was going to veto it, right, Disco? But he did.
Yeah. Yeah, and I almost think that my take is I think he kind of had to fulfill some commitments that he made before the big sentiment shift happened. You know, it went from, they were saying when the thing first came up, like, oh, there might be 6 to 8 Democrats who flip, and go against party lines to support the legislation being repealed, and it ended up being like 60 or something. Like, it was a huge number. So we saw kind of that happen. So I'm hopeful that it was kind of like a IOU to some folks that he had to keep because he made a statement that he was going to veto it. I don't think that's going to be the case for FIT 121. I think that we're going to see good stuff from that side of it, but it was depressing to see a veto, and I'm sure that people on his campaign team it pained them to have to see that play out in the news.
Right. And you know what we haven't heard? We almost had 66% of the vote, which is, I believe, what you need in each house.
Overturn.
A 2/3, right. We haven't even heard of the override. Can you imagine? I think we'd need a couple more in one of the houses, but if the overturn was possible, that would be extremely interesting and checkmate, right? You can't double veto. Yeah. So not a fan of Biden and what he did there. And, as someone who grew up in a mixed Republican Democratic household, but who aligned more with my mom's side on the Democratic side, and we were in a very Democratic town, like, I can officially say, Disco, I don't know if this was it, or maybe I've announced it 6 times in the last couple of weeks. I'm officially an independent. Done.
Yeah.
And I know that's not a strong statement, but it kind of is from where we came from. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it was something that I never thought I would consider, but it's definitely under consideration if it hasn't already happened. And, movements like vetoing bipartisan legislation in favor of something that I'm extremely passionate about is certainly not helping the cause. Really quickly.
Yeah, we're already long-winding. Like, we go. So
I know, that's why I'm trying to throw the really quick in.
Next up, Wisconsin puts in $163 million into Bitcoin, which is only 0.1% of their holdings. But this pension fund is holding billions in the FANGs, Microsoft, NVIDIA. Like, they are crushing it. 100%. More than 100% fulfilled of those pension funds, whereas Illinois, my crappy state, is at 50 or less percent. So they can't be buying Bitcoin, but they're just testing the waters, Disco, and They bought Bitcoin. And I think this is the first pension fund to do so. It got revealed in the 10K. They probably bought it a couple months ago. This is huge.
It's a massive inflection point in terms of the acceptance. And we, just for everyone, we came back from Austin last week and consensus was going on. And kind of the big theme we had was, holy cow, this is, it went from, it's totally inevitable. People are involved, bigger corporations are involved. The corporatization has certainly happened. And to be able to see, the state of Wisconsin, which is a bellwether from what I understand in terms of, being best in practice in terms of putting together portfolios, for them to be able to actually make this first kind of, little drip in the pool of an investment and have it go through and be clear. Yeah, it's only 163 million, but there, if you look at the other entities that they support, you are looking at the most the biggest FANG stocks and Microsofts and all that. So to see Bitcoin included in that portfolio is a pretty groundbreaking moment. And as you've said, we have multiple states, multiple, sovereignties. We're starting to see what we've been yapping about for months and months and months, and it's becoming real. And when you see a state like Wisconsin put it on the books, that they're looking at it from a long-term hold position, that they're looking at it and they understand the hedge against inflation. So you really understand that the talking points that we've been aware of for so long are seeping in, and we're actually seeing activity based on belief in what we've been all kind of believing for so long. So it's a validating point, and it's just going to kind of help usher in this whole new wave of folks to get involved.
Right. So, and just so you know, yesterday, 880 million went into the Bitcoin ETFs. Bitcoin it creeped up towards an all-time high. I think it's back down to like 71 right now, but we could even have an all-time high as soon as today. So again, slowly, suddenly, all at once. But the Wisconsin one, and we're just talking about states, we have 49 other states that have big pension funds, plus pension funds within teachers unions. There's all sorts of pension funds. And then you got Japan with 1.4 trillion pension fund already looking at Bitcoin. We got the whole world here. So again, at some point, the toothpaste is going to be squeezed by the steamroller. Just absolutely incredible.
Yeah, just as you said, that's mind blowing that yesterday was 880 million in inflows just to the Bitcoin ETFs. And that's the second biggest day since the launch of them. So we're definitely seeing renewed interest in, if we're starting to do that kind of with no major catalyst, it's certainly showing that kind of this effect of everybody, starting to make their place their investments and kind of buying in is definitely becoming real.
Yeah. Speaking of buy-in, BlackRock and Citadel are making a new competitor to the New York Stock Exchange, a full national stock exchange competing with NYSE and the others, not based out of New York, out of Texas. So now we are drawing the lines in the sand. Texas Disco is the only state, I think, that, besides California, that could stand up to New York, but California is not going to, because they're more blue states. They're working in conjunction with each other. One's got Silicon Valley and really most of the FANGs, and New York has always been the financial epicenter. But now you got Texas with oil and very more open mining policies, more open crypto policies. And they're basically, to me, this isn't a story about BlackRock and Citadel. This is a story of Texas versus New York.
Yeah, it's pretty badass. They're not even playing around that. They're not going head to head. They're calling it the TXSE to go against the NYSE. So it's not subtle. It's a salvo, and I'm just excited because it's a representation of a potential disruption to how things have been done for so long. And I think it'd be really interesting to see how the framework is built for a new exchange, utilizing new technology, utilizing new ways to settle, and obviously utilizing crypto. So very exciting. I think that gets the note for the most underrated story of the week, and it's something that as a show, will definitely keep a close eye on, because of the fact we've seen the power of BlackRock in terms of impacting policy, and I don't think they'd walk out on a ledge if they don't think that they have a pretty good chance of success.
Yeah, the TXSE, you're right. The fact that it's NY versus TX, take those postal code abbreviations, and let's see the brawl. But to me, this also opens up, states are, and that's why our country, that's why part of the freedom works so well, because states can differ on opinions. and they can fight for those opinions and fight for that business and fight for entrepreneurs in order to come in and work within those states and within those laws. So competition is good, and New York losing that stranglehold of owning the financial market for America and the world is going away. So what do we got next, Disco?
Well, I think we should talk really quickly. There's been a revitalization in kind of the runes space overall. So we're seeing a significant jump up in the overall runes market cap. I think we're flirting with, if not in excess of 2 billion, which has been a number we've been hoping for a little bit. And for Dog specifically, today's kind of the day that they're pushing to see if they can get it past a 1 billion market cap. So that's something we haven't seen before. We're definitely getting into uncharted territory. We'll then see kind of the ripple impact of that if people start, getting profits out of runes. Will that cycle into ordinals? Will that help that ecosystem overall kind of have, another resurgence? And it's just something to keep an eye on.
Yeah, I mean, Dog, I actually on Sat Screener this morning, I had Dog at a billion, but it might have been like a rounding thing. I know there's going to be a spaces and Leonidas and his crew, like I will say, like we've been in the RSIC camps, but hats off to him. Like he has single-handedly been the Pied Piper of that space and kept pushing it. And, did the drop to 112,000 people, did a lot of firsts. And, if they're the first to reach a billion, like you said, as good things said, a rising tide lifts all boats. And, we're here for it. And, and to all the runes folks, I know Ski God, if you're out there, the cats and the sats, like you called all the whole cat meme, which is kind of the antithesis to the dog meme. But also, you got the Nat cats, like there's almost like this competition between them, but it was a smart call, and there's a lot of winners this week and a lot of 7 to 10 Xers. We're not seeing 100 Xers yet, maybe some of the real early ones, but there's some big movers here.
Yeah, I would say the other story that we'd want to definitely make sure folks are aware of was just it came out, the amount of tokens that were released in May alone on Solana was north of 455,000. So we're definitely seeing traction in the meme space, and specifically Solana's just got it on lock right now. Out of the other chains, Base is kind of number 2 on that, and but just to compare, they're talking about like 177,000. So Solana's pure, light years ahead of everybody on that side of it. And, if you want to listen to the other show, you'll see some of our takes and perspectives on what that may mean and why that's happening. But it's definitely something of note for sure.
Yeah. I mean, I just want to reiterate, because I missed that point until you told me in the long show, 455,000 different tokens with different token signals, like Cryptocurrency Girl, the one we follow in Solana right now, 455,000 in 1 month, in 31 days, whatever it is. May, is that a short month? That's a long month, right?
It's a longie.
So, it's a longie. It's a 31, but just insane. Base 177. And this really just goes to show you, and Base is making Coinbase very profitable. Coinbase has had a lot of stumbles. They've tried to do an NFT market that was just, it literally got pulled within days. It was a total flop. It was a total joke. They've made a lot of missteps. They've also made a lot of good steps. They've been very structurally sound, and they're basically managing the funds of all but like 3 of the ETFs. But Base is one of their L2s that's just going nuts on Ethereum, and it definitely deserves a tip of the cap. So good call for bringing that up, Disco.
Yeah. The last thing, and this is just kind of a moment in time, was there was a bridge or a ceiling for or the floor actually for CryptoPunks was punctured this past week. And it's just it's interesting to note. It kind of does tie into the utilization of other chains for, NFTs and ordinals and things like that. But they had the first time one sold for sub 30 ETH. So something we're going to keep an eye on, and maybe there's an entry point, maybe it really bounces back, and it just kind of leads to the question of how everything's going to hold up, 10, 15, 20 years down the road, and what that means as you look to collect and invest in things like that.
Yeah, as a CryptoPunk holder, seeing it break, I guess I stopped looking at it, but seeing it break under 30 for a sale at 29, whatever is a point 0.8 or something, like that hasn't happened in 3 years, and it definitely doesn't make me feel great about the investment I made when ETH was a quarter of the price. But unfortunately, the price of CryptoPunks and the one I bought, kind of a not way above the floor, but a medium above the floor. I now have overpaid for that thing. But CryptoPunks are on chain. They're 2017. They invented this space. I think they're going to be fine. My number, Disco, I think would be, like, even though my focus is not on CryptoPunks at all, I'm solely in the runes and ordinals and Bitcoin space, little soul degenning on the side. But notice I've got my ETH validators, but I'm not staring at those all day. I think my number would be 18 ETH, where I'd be like, I may have to gobble another one of those. What would your number be?
I think I'm a little shy of that. I'm more probably 15-ish,
Okay.
and that would still have to be like a super compelling, it'd be one that would have to really speak to me.
Right.
I wouldn't just floor it. I'd have to have something that resonated. And I also wanted to say, we did have a really incredible experience seeing the movie about Shark Pickle Cone, about the whole.
Well, hold on.
nouns.
Before we go to the CCO of Shark Pickle Cone and then the whole nouns ecosystem, the only other thing I want to throw out in CryptoPunks is actually very apropos to what you just brought up. If CryptoPunks are ever going to be stratospheric like Specs and some of these old OG CryptoPunks holders want, it has to not be owned by Yuga. It has to go CCO like MFers. It's fully on chain. And that, I think, would set it free. We don't need terms of service for our CryptoPunks. We don't want utility. A woman of world-renowned art just tried to do in residence drop just a small collection, 500 to CryptoPunks, and it was met with such hostility. CryptoPunks are CryptoPunks, on-chain, immutable. That's it. Done, CCO, and I think they'll be worth a ton more. So just wanted to throw that out there before we got into the whole nouns thing.
No, that's very fair and well said. And I do think it's a really apropos take. But one of the things we were able to see the premiere of the movie Shark Pickle Cone, which is about, an element of the nouns DAO and their journey to have a proposal come to life in the form of a float at the Pasadena Rose Bowl parade. And I highly recommend it. I'm not sure exactly where it's available, but keep an eye out on it. But one of the things that was so remarkable to me was some of the people that were most passionate about the community were not even holders of nouns.
Yes.
And I wonder if that's something to kind of keep an eye on when we're looking for kind of this breakout crossover, of one of these brands and of one of these projects. So I really, really appreciated being involved and being able to see it. And it really did kind of tap my curiosity for the project and for what a DAO could do when executed properly.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, nouns has not been without its hiccups. It's had 3 forks where a massive amount of the treasury, it had tens and tens of millions, and a massive amount was peeled off because a lot of old holders wanted to get out. But it's just a testament to nouns. Like, they just partnered with Hope Gallery in Austin and had a huge involvement there that passed. And they're doing some really cool stuff to bring those noggles, those glasses and that art to the world. And I got to say, I walked in to the party and that whole atmosphere, like, we wanted to meet Brennan, we wanted to meet Andy of Hope, and going to that was kind of the means. And I've been following nouns a while, but I decided to get a CryptoPunk at the time. And now, nouns are CCO. And I was really impressed by that movie. And I was impressed by the people in it and how they operated. DAOs, I used to write comedy for a DAO under the Bankless moniker, and it was fun, don't get me wrong, but it's like a bunch of chicken with their heads cut off. Like, DAOs are very tough to manage because at the end of the day, like, a lot of time no one's in charge, and nouns are the people who are redefining DAOs and how to make something CCO, which means that if I own this noun, even if it's like, let's say it's a $20,000 noun I own, Disco or anybody in the world could put it on their t-shirt. They could have a store where that noun is the art. Anybody can use it in perpetuity for commercial or non-commercial use on anything forever, even though I own it. And to me, do it with the CryptoPunks. They're doing it with the nouns. I am definitely more interested in nouns, and I'm definitely going to do that proposal. And I will be, when I think there might be one more split from arbitrageurs trying to take more of the treasury, and then they'll probably figure out how to solve that and stabilize. So the price of these things will probably go to 3 ETH, maybe 4 ETH, but I'm definitely going to get more involved in that. And it sounds like you're pretty bullish too.
Extremely. So there's a lot of really interesting things happening this week in the space. It's all very positive from what we can see. We're looking at potential all-time highs on multiple fronts, and we love to see conviction validated, and hopefully we're in that sort of period where we're going to start to see a lot of the things that we hoped would happen come to life, and it's just really fun to see. So for everybody out there, this show is always for entertainment purposes. It's not financial advice. Please don't consider anything we say as something that you need to act on or should act on. Do your own research. Make sure you don't get over your own skis. Only invest where you can afford to lose, and enjoy your time exploring the space, because there's a lot to offer from a creative and intellectual and just so many different perspectives. So I consider myself blessed to be on this journey, and I thank you all for joining us, and see you shortly.
Yeah, absolutely. And please share, tell your friends if you like the show and you like the insights. We try and go deeper than most. We try not be just what the next bag pump thing is, and more like into the soul and spirit of it. So please share, follow us on YouTube, follow us on podcast, like and share there, and do all that fun stuff. So until next time, everybody, thank you and enjoy.